Everybody to the DC CyberSec podcast. My name is David, or DC, or asshole, whatever you want to call me. It's up to you. We are here to talk about AI, cybersecurity, and the lifestyle of a digital nomad. Before we get started, though, I will shout out to a couple of sponsors of this podcast, which is honestly a massive achievement to get going. So the first person that I'd like to shout out is sugarsecurity.com. Now, if you are interested in performing an automated web app pen test, sugarsecurity.com is a great solution just for you. It's free to try out. It's definitely worthwhile just in case you miss something in your own recon. And I think it's a great little solution to give a try. So head over to sugarsecurity.com and have a crack. The second sponsor is none other than the saferinternetproject.com. So if you want to learn how to become a pen tester, get real hands-on experience as a pen tester, and to learn from other pen testers exactly what a pen test looks like, how to write a report, how to present yourself at work, and all of that other stuff in between to get you job ready and into a job, head to the saferinternetproject.com or just actually saferinternetproject.com. And sign up an account, join the Discord server. It's a great community to be a part of, and there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up there, which I'm actually like mega pumped. For the first time in a very long time of the Safer Internet Project, I'm super pumped about a new solution that's been added into the whole thing. So definitely stick around for that one. Now, let's get started on this podcast. So the reason I wanted to create this podcast, and hopefully it's actually working, like the stream quality is okay. And actually, let me know. I'll open up the comments on my thing. Let me see. Live chat. All right. Let me know if the quality is okay. I know there's only like 1 or 2 people watching apparently, but yeah, I'm doing this through like a VPN and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, just kind of keen to see what the sound quality is like and if it's choppy or whatever. I'm actually thinking it's probably going to be more better quality than like the ones I did in Australia were. So I'm not actually too worried, to be honest. I feel like the internet here, well, I know the internet here is far faster than my Australian connection. But yeah, let me know. I've seen a couple of comments saying that it's all good. It's a bit hazy. I think the video quality on this thing is a bit average, but that's okay. So, in the bowl, mate. Yeah, mate. So, the first thing I'd like to talk about, I've actually got a list. I've come prepared, right? Oh, shit, I just deleted it by accident. Here it is. No, it's all good. Okay, so the first thing off the rank, we're going to talk about a little bit of news in the industry. So the first industry news, and because this is including AI and digital nomad lifestyles, is that OpenAI's first office, and this might not matter to any of you, but we'll get to the good bit at the end. OpenAI's first office is opening in London. So the reason that this is a significant piece of news is because there's an unmatched talent pool in central London that a lot of people don't seem to, get. And I was surprised, actually. I thought they'd open in Ireland for tax purposes, but they're not. They're opening in central London because of that, obviously, that talent pool, which is what I wanted to talk about, really, is the talent pool more than OpenAI itself, because, I mean, that's on every news. You don't have to come here for that kind of news. You can get that on Channel 9. Tracy Grimshaw is going to be talking about that one. It's significant because it's an interesting choice. And I think the choice is there because of that. There is a really good talent pool in central London. Also, it attracts a lot of different types of talent, which is probably something that they're more interested in, something that they want that diversity in their talent pool of resources working for them. So that's the first bit of news that I've chosen for you today. The second one is that, of course, OpenAI is being sued for some horrendous amounts of money, which is interesting in itself, but there's a good reason for that. And it's basically that they have been well, they're being accused of uh, essentially stealing people's data to train the AI model of Chat GPT. Now, I'm not too sure on how they got that. I'm not going to be accusing anyone here because I'm not about the accusing game. I'm more just interested in the news and what happens. And I think it's actually a potentially very interesting situation. Thank you, Maxi G, for coming back here and for just tipping me $20. That's crazy. Let me see if I can. I just want to see what that comment was. Congrats on the move, mate. You'll be missed here in Oz. Money for dumplings. Yeah. Thank you. That's a lot of dumplings, by the way. $20 is going to get me like a week's worth of dumplings over here. But anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So yeah, what I was saying about this OpenAI being sued, and I think it's interesting how this is going to pan out because I'd love to know how did they train the model if they didn't do it by taking people's information into, well, illegally, essentially. How did they do it? Do you guys know? Chuck it in the chat. I want to know. My thought is that they probably purchased this information the same way that social media accounts used to or have done in the past, sold people's information, personal information as well, to the highest bidder, essentially, like research purposes. So it's interesting that there's this, but it's also like it's not really taking personal people's information as such, although it kind of is. It's also just the intellectual property that I think is interesting that it's taking. And as a business owner, if I have information on the internet, for example, and it's like I know it's public, then there is potential for it to be, I guess, like copyright. And is that the law that they're breaking here? Is it like an infringement of copyright, or is it an infringement of uh, maybe not copyright, maybe like an infringement of personal information? Which way does it go? That's where it gets really interesting, I think. And I'd love to see what you guys think about this. And yeah, chuck it in the chat because I'm gonna jump onto the next topic, uh, which is that there is some new malware out there. It's targeting Mac OS X users. It's called Rust Bucket, and it came from the Lazarus group. Now, the Lazarus group, for anyone who knows, is a group situated, I believe, or at least this part of it is out of, I think, North Korea. I don't know. Not really relevant. The point here is that it's a pretty decent malware. I wrote down here some details. It's an AppleScript based backdoor capable of retrieving second stage upload from a remote server, and that it is currently being heavily monitored by security researchers at Elastic. So Elastic are those people who make Elasticsearch and some other pretty cool products. I've used Elastic in the past to build like virtual socks and all sorts of stuff. So it's yeah, it's a significant bit of malware because there's not really huge amount of malware that targets successfully Mac users and that gets left open for a period of time long enough for it to even matter. So this one comes from around April, I believe it was. We're now at the bang on the start of July, so it's been out there for a little while, and that's interesting in itself. It also goes to show that no matter what device or operating system you use, there is a potential there. So it's yeah, I mean it's kind of interesting to see that kind of, I guess, malware out there in the wild. Now I can see a bunch of comments coming through here, so I'm going to just quickly have a look at what the crack is because I really want to know. I think it's going to be easier if I look at my laptop. Give me one sec. So I got Eddie says, oh wait. We'll go way up because this goes. Oh, my camera's following me everywhere. This goes way up. So Derv said London is one of the most powerful cities in the world. It makes sense. Yeah, I agree, man. It does kind of make sense. And yeah, I'm not really that surprised, to be completely honest. Eddie says, hey, DC, you're right. They probably bought some people's personal data from data brokers. All of us, myself included, tend to forget to read the fine print when we click. I agree. Yeah, I mean, yeah, basically. Is that a soy sauce bottle behind you? No, it's a water bottle. I've got a water bottle here. It's my new favorite water. It's cheap as chips. I'm going to get massively sidetracked with these comments, so just bear with me. It's called Nongfu Spring, and it's like, I think it's like 10 cents a bottle. It's so cheap. It's unbelievably cheap. I also have a mini bamboo plant over here, a guitar which I've acquired. Pretty cool. And my other PC is your mum's hacker sticker, which you guys can get from dccybersecmerch.com. What else have I got? I'd love to show you around my house, but I'll do that in like another video at some point. So yeah, apart from that, big comfy couch, folds out into a bed. It's sick. Anyway, Max was saying large data sets would have to come from various sources, most likely varying degrees of legality for all those sources. Yeah, probably. So kind of interesting how they got that data and what they're doing with that data, and how they, if that's not how they got the data, how did they train the AI model? So I think it's going to be important to look into, like, when they first founded OpenAI and what their research is into how they trained the chat GPT model, and so many other things. It's a really interesting space, and AI is probably the most it's the fastest growing for sure out of all of the IT stuff at the moment. So it's, I mean, it's massive buzzword. So it's going to fizzle and, you know, go to where cybersecurity is or is and was at one point. Same as like cloud computing, all of those buzzwords that just sort of buzz. That's what they do. It's going to be interesting to see how that all pans out. Max is also saying, without the organization explicitly outlining where all the data sets have come from, difficult to determine. Yeah, exactly. Max said 100%, highlighting their journey of development will give us more context. Precisely. And I think that's what's going to happen out of this lawsuit. There's no way they're going to get out of this without, you know, a few cuts and bruises. But will this huge amount of money that they're being sued for put them under and destroy the company? I doubt it. I think what's going to happen is that they're going to learn from this and have to give a little bit of information of how they train the AI models and where all of that information comes from, and what they paid for it or didn't pay for it, or did they just do their own research. I really highly doubt that they just like started typing in information. I know they said at one point, and this, I just got reminded of this, that at one point they said that the information being typed into Chat GPT 3 would be used to train Chat GPT 4. So that's interesting in itself, which is that it's actually user input on the platform, which if you read their terms and conditions, when I heard about this, I went over and read the terms and conditions. It wasn't that explicit, but it did pretty much allude to the fact that anything that you're typing in to Chat GPT into their playground or the Chat GPT model itself will be used to train the next model. And I think that's fair enough, because you're using that platform, you're playing with it, you're doing whatever it is you're doing with it. That's going to be used to train the next version, that's fine for me. I can accept that as a person using the internet. All good. But I would be a little bit upset if like, for example, Facebook again sold information to whoever it is, the highest bidder, which in this case might have just been OpenAI. On to the next topic, and I'll keep coming back to these as we go. I'd like to touch slightly on the digital nomad lifestyle. And this is a direction that I wanted to take a little bit more on this channel now that I am sort of working abroad and doing cybersecurity work abroad as a digital nomad. I have a few devices that I use to get around. And I just wanted to kind of outline the weekly, I guess, challenges that and positives. So the positive and negatives um, of being a digital nomad and how that works out. So I've now been overseas for 2 months. I've been to 3 countries in this time, which is ridiculous, and a lot of different cities. The main reason for that is because I was doing a sort of like Southeast Asia talk about the Safer Internet project. So I did a couple of university presentations. I've actually got a certificate, which I'll show you because it's kind of cool. It's very Chinese, but it's also dope as hell. Look at that. How cool is that? So basically, it says I was an invited speaker to talk about cybersecurity as a service and learning about cybersecurity and how to get into cybersecurity. The things that I normally talk about. It was at an AI university in Chongqing, it's a city in China, sort of southish area. The university is called Southwest University for anyone who's interested in Googling that. And yeah, that was a super cool one. There was a couple of other universities. There was one in Kunming, one in Beijing, and another one in Korea. So there's been a few different presentations going on, and it's been a bit of a tour of such, which has been super fun. But trying to fit in work in between the speeches and the traveling has been definitely the top level challenge for me so far. So what I've been trying to do basically is keep my calendar as accurate as possible because there has been other stuff going on as well. Like I also got there was me and my wife did a Chinese wedding here a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, something like that. So yeah, it was very challenging to fit all of that in, as well as my parents came here to travel. My auntie and uncle, a couple of friends, all came over here to sort of travel with us and to attend the wedding and do all this work. So the way I've been working things out without sort of repeating myself too much is to set specific times to do specific jobs. So with this podcast, this is a new addition to my schedule, but it will be part of the ongoing schedule. What I want to do with this is to do a weekly, every Monday morning podcast. For me, at the moment, it is 20 past 9 in the morning. So I started this at 9 o'clock my time, which I think is 11 a.m. Brisbane or most of Australia time, the bits that matter anyway. Shots fired at Perth, and yeah, it's good. I think it'll actually fit in nicely into the schedule. It's an interesting time zone though for Australia because everyone's at work, but it's kind of good for the US side because it's around 8:30 to 9:30, I think, p.m. your time. So yeah, kind of cool to do this. But yeah, usually the schedule for me working is from around 8 a.m. my time, so around 10 a.m. Australian time, 8 until around midday. So then at around midday, it's mostly just emails and following up, and I can move about and do whatever I want, which is good, and it sorts out, like I can power work through a lot of stuff for those like 4 hours time. I can just smash through it and then do all of the communication stuff and follow-ups and etc. business things that I need to do in the afternoon and while I'm out and blah blah blah, which is perfect. It's a good schedule. It took me a little while to find this groove because it's honestly it's not as easy as it sounds to just motivate yourself, I guess, to do work at a specific time. But I find if, like I've said before in the past, if I set myself a schedule and a time frame to actually get shit done, then I will get it done in that time frame. That's just sort of how it works. Max CG, I just saw that you said this is a perfect time for you, which is great. So I'm going to be doing them at this time anyway. So hopefully it works out for everyone as well as possible. As far as challenges go, though, like finding that time zone has been a challenge, and motivating myself to continue working during times when there's stuff going on everywhere. There's a whole world out there that I want to explore, and but you need money to explore, unfortunately, right? So you got to get the work done, and that's basically the motivation for me. But I have been having a lot of fun, and my work life balance has become more of a life balance, and work is just the thing you do in between, which is that's exactly what I wanted to achieve by doing this sort of thing, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it actually. It's going pretty well. Things are working out nicely, so that's good. There is a lot of challenges though, like making sure your devices are fully charged, and that you have enough battery life to do whatever it is you need to do, and carrying bags that are much heavier than average is is a struggle. That is honestly quite hard. It's You can make it easier though. Like I don't usually bring my laptop with me ever at all. It sits there as basically a desktop PC. Um, isn't China blacklisted for a lot of companies? Does that affect things? Um, I don't think so. It probably is blacklisted for whatever political reasons, but um, not really going to get into the politics. But if you have a VPN or so the way I work is I have a computer located in Google Cloud. Its geolocation is Sydney. So I'm essentially working from a computer located in a cloud server in Sydney. It's pretty quick. I jump on it from my iPad usually because it's got a longer battery life, and the speakers are better, which I like for music. Um, that's literally the main reasons I use it. I'm using it right now. It's got this cool camera that follows you around. Pretty sick. Um, as far as working for companies, though, they don't really seem to care where I am or what I'm, where I'm working. I know the one that I was originally contracting for, when I asked them, "Hey, I'm going to go to China to live for a while. Can I work?" They originally said, "Yeah, no problem." Then at the end, they said no, which is fine. That's perfectly fine. Um, but yeah, it's there has been a few challenges. Like some people have said no outright. A lot of the ACSC companies have said no outright, which is fine, and that's perfectly fine. I was more than prepared for that. There are lots of private businesses though who don't really care where you are as long as you can get the job done. They're perfectly okay with that. And as my main target these days is private companies, it's all good. I mean, it's all fine for me. Usually, the argument there is some sort of political whatever, which is fine. That's up to everyone to have their own beliefs and whatever. But yeah, it's there has been a few challenges. Like some of the companies are like, oh, China, blah blah blah. The thing is, and normally how I explain it though, is that while I'm mainly based in China because I have this house, I also work in and live in other countries. Like I've been to South Korea, I've been all over China, I've been to Japan and Singapore, Australia, all over the place. And I'm going to probably I'm waiting for winter because I think it'd be fun. I'm going to go to Japan for a longer period of time, maybe like 1 or 2 months, and just continue working there and living there for a little while just because I can. And that's the benefit of this fully global digital nomad experience. And that's sort of this adventure that I want to take you guys on to show you firsthand how I'm doing it, and if it interests you, because I feel like it might. This has been a dream of mine for a very long time. And to be living the reality of it it's actually very different to the expectation that I had. And that's the same as everything. And that's why I want to show you guys how I am doing it. And if the mistakes that I'll make along the way. You don't have to go to China to live remotely, right? It's probably one of the more difficult places to go to then work in the cybersecurity industry. Based on, like you said, I think your name was Robert. I just saw the message go up. Um, I mean, it's a politically not a very liked place. As beautiful as it is, and as lovely as the people are, and all the other things, it's tricky for two reasons. One is that a lot of companies or countries don't particularly like this one, which is fine. That's all good. The other major thing that's tricky is language. Now, I can speak a little bit of Mandarin, enough to get myself around, order food, where's the bathroom, I want beer, the necessities of life, right? So I can get myself around and I can have basic conversations. But for working here and talking to companies in Australia, they honestly don't even ask me where I am. They're usually like, "What time zone are you in?" That's a more important question I found, which is honestly, it's quite refreshing. Um, I just saw Michael ask, "How about health insurance?" I have health insurance in Australia. Um, I haven't got health insurance here. I saw a question about a visa come up as well, which I'll get to in a sec. Um, I'll get to you, Eddie, in a sec, because that's kind of off topic. Michael said, "How about the visa?" So the visa that I've got, because my wife is Chinese, I am able to get a permanent residency visa for up to 10 years, which is what I got. It kind of fits my lifestyle. I didn't get the full 10 years though. I just asked for 2 years because I only really plan on being here for 2 years. But you can always extend it as much as you want. But yeah, it's essentially based on that I own a property here and that my wife is from this city. So it depends. The visa rules here are quite interesting, but honestly, it's so imagine for a second like you're applying for a permanent residency in Australia, which my wife did, and it took a very, very long time. It took like 3.5 years for them to process. I came here 1 week. I did all of the health check things that you have to, because I mean, like any country, you have to do for permanent residency, you have to go through a health check, and then there's like some credential checks, like how much do you have enough money to support yourself? What is your main source of income? That sort of stuff, which they ask those same questions in Australia and a lot more in Australia actually. So then I did that. It took 3 days, and they said, "Yep, all good. We bring in your passport." So I brought my passport in. They took it away for another 1 week, gave it back, done. That was it. And it's like you can now stay here for basically as long as you like, as long as you keep renewing your permanent residency. And I was like, that's insane. That's so fast. Um, so that was an interesting experience in itself. But anyway, yeah, I mean that's each country's visa processing system is obviously different to each other. I know Australia's is from the people I've talked to on CyberSec guidance who are applying for jobs. Australia is one of those places where if you don't have a citizenship, it's really hard to get a job in cybersecurity, and that sucks, or at least a permanent residency, um, and that sucks. And a lot of people are applying for visas, and a lot of people that I talk to on CyberSec guidance are applying for a visa or in the process of applying for a visa to so that they can live and work in Australia, and that's wonderful. And I congratulate you for taking that step in your journey, but it is very hard to get a job. That's the main problem is that it is super hard to get a job, and it does take a very, very long time to get that permanent residency, and it costs a stupid amount of money, like in the thousands. This visa that I got here was, I think it cost me like almost 400 Australian dollars in total, which is like a drop in the ocean to what me and my wife paid for her permanent residency in Australia. Not to mention the, the really hard part of like waiting, just sitting waiting for ages. But anyway, I don't want to get into permanent residency because it's a touchy subject and I hate them. So I'll leave it at that. Michael said, I'd like to relocate to Spain or Italy and do the same thing. I have a mate who went to Italy. He couldn't speak a lick of Italian. But yeah, he picked it up in a few months. He got the basics and gabinetto, etc. Where's the toilet? And yeah, he doesn't live in Italy anymore. He's now in Germany. But yeah, he did a similar sort of situation where he's a programmer though, not cybersecurity, but doing mostly freelance work, and he's found that to be great. I'm pretty sure he's still in Germany. He's either in Germany or in the UK somewhere now. I'm not sure. But yeah, pretty cool. It's definitely an option that you can do. Depending where you come from, what your visa options are, why not? Give it a try. Citizen Zero says, love you. I love you too. I'll get to Eddie's question before it disappears up in the chat. He asks, should people know digital forensics before they venture into cyber threat intelligence? You don't have to, but I mean, it's probably going to help you out in the long run. So, yeah. Josima TV, hello from Sydney. Hello. Said, yeah, it's really a roadblock for a lot of cybersecurity students like me. No PR, no NV1. So PR is permanent residency, NV1 is negative vetting 1. Yep, if you don't have permanent residency, you can't get negative vetting, which is a huge roadblock in getting a job in cybersecurity. If you can't get clearance, then you can't work for anyone in the government. And that is really, really hard. So there is other options for you though, which is to take different sort of routes into cybersecurity, and maybe even discovering that you prefer doing this job over a cybersecurity job. And the job that I'm talking about is network security. People love network security once they get into it. But when they look at it, they're like, oh, switches and firewalls, not fun. But it's sick. It's such a sick job. I loved being a network engineer way back now. And it was a really good job. But I think a lot of people don't want to get into it because they don't consider it to be cybersecurity. But it's a pretty sweet role, to be completely honest. So yeah, have a go. What do you think about cyber data loss prevention and analyst as a starting point? I think that's a heavily automated part of the industry. So I'd be careful with it. It's cool though, but it's becoming more and more automated and easy to navigate. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get a mouse and plug it into this thing so I can sit back here and chill without having to, do too much. Bear with me. I've got to find where I put my mouse. All right, I got it. I'm just too lazy, basically. I don't want to keep scrolling from the iPad itself. There we go. All right. Focus on me, camera. Oh man, I can't read that. That sucks. All right. What's your experience in identity and access management? Not much, but I do have experience in managing a team of identity/access management people. When I was a lead SOC engineer or whatever they titled it at that point, it was an interesting job. Those guys seem to be pretty bored with it, to be completely honest though. So yeah, maybe for you, maybe not. I don't know. Michael says, going into college next year, and should I double major computer science and cybersec? I'm not sure which one I want to go into. Career-wise, I was thinking CS as main job and cybersec as a hobby. I think that's a better option. I think keeping your options broad is a good idea, especially for cybersecurity, because you don't really know if you're going to like it until you get into it. And once you get into it, you'll discover the areas that you really enjoy. And it's it's just one of those things. Like once you don't know until you try it, basically. So I think the CS degree and then CyberSec as a, yeah, I mean, double major would be kind of cool, but I'd probably just go for the CS degree if it was me. But you do you. Oh, who's that? Haven't seen that name before. Johnny Vargas. I have seen your name before. You've been here before. Hi, I heard about the digital nomad visa that Malaysia offers. They accept cybersecurity professionals. Have you heard about it? Where is it going? Any info on it? I'm finishing my Sec Plus and headed out to Southeast Asia. Nice, man. Welcome to the Southeast Asian Digital Nomad Club. Yeah, I haven't actually heard about it, so I'm going to read about that after this, and maybe I'll talk about that on next week's podcast episode. But yeah, I wonder what they're offering on that and how that works. Be kind of cool. Just having the Sec Plus though, I think might not be enough. You may need some experience, but I don't know. We'll see. How to be consistent and motivated during the study and practice point. I lack motivation. How to overcome that. I've said this before a few times. I've actually got a couple of videos on motivation and discipline, but the main point is that motivation comes from discipline. So if you can discipline yourself, and the way I do that is to set a schedule and to stick to the schedule. And you can give yourself like little rewards for completing different parts of a schedule. For example, if you really, you could treat yourself like a child basically. You complete 3 hour block of something and then you can eat a chocolate at the end. Something basic as hell like that is actually like it actually works. It's a trigger for your brain to accept. So maybe that works for you. I don't know. I don't really do the chocolate thing, but I have heard people who do that. I used to do it with, I used to smoke and vape a lot. So I'd say, I'll do this period of work and get through it. And then I'll have a cigarette or a vape after that. And that would be my ultimate like motivation. If I really didn't want to do something, I'd be like, all right, cigarette at the end. That would, it's so sad. But I don't smoke anymore. So now I do other random stuff like I'll eat something delicious or whatever. But yeah, yeah, I mean, just treat yourself, basically. Um, Fergie says, I'm nearly finished my bachelor and still feel like I know very little about practical cyber. How would you recommend practicing those hands-on skills? You are the exact reason why I created the Safe Internet Project. If you head to saferinternetproject.com, or if you click on the link in the description, it says learn how to hack, that link in the link tree thing will take you to the Safer Internet Project. So the way we run those sessions, I guess. So I'll start at the beginning. Each week there are 2 different pen test sessions. They are pen test sessions on real customers, real business systems. So what we do is I go out to different customers, usually Australian small businesses, and I say, hey, I would like to perform a pen test on your system to also show other people who are interested how I would do that pen test. They go, yeah, sure. Sometimes they go, sometimes they go, no way. But sometimes they go, yep, sure, no worries. They sign away. We schedule the pen test in. I've currently got 12 pen tests coming up. So the next year of pen tests, basically, because we schedule them out over a month. So there's 2 sessions a week. It usually starts with recon, then exploitation, and then reporting. And that usually takes, each one is around a 1 month engagement. There's also, as part of the Safer Internet Project, different learning modules, which are essentially micro certificates where you can complete different aspects of cybersecurity and specifically more focused on pen testing, but there is some blue team stuff in there as well, on the different technologies you can use, how to use them, some life skills like how to write yourself a resume and what that should look like, how to present yourself in an interview, some actual life skills, and yeah, I've just a range of how to get into cybersecurity answers to your questions. So if that sounds like it's something interesting to you, then I would highly recommend having a look at the Safer Internet Project. So the website is saferinternetproject.com. Or like I said, click on the link in the description, join the Discord server, join in. There's, what day is it today? It's Tuesday, Monday? It's Monday, right? Yeah, it's Monday. Good. I'm on the right day. So yeah, there should be a session tomorrow and another one on Thursday. These sessions are going to be on internal pen testing. So I'm just waiting on access to a system from a client to do some internal pen testing, and then that will be part of that session. So do some internal pen testing. Then the week after, we'll be reporting on this huge pen test that has been ongoing for now almost 2 months. So this has been a very big customer. Definitely worth checking out. It's for anyone interested on pricing. Before you even go to the website, it's 50 Australian dollars per month. That's it. You get access to all those things. You get a certificate after completing 6 months. And if you want a reference on your resume, I'm more than happy to do that. I can be your reference, especially if you're in Australia. It makes it easier. If you want recommendations on jobs to go for, hit me up through the Safe Internet Project. I'll point you in the right direction of a recruiter, and I'll give you a recommendation right there and say, this guy needs to be hired. It's my main focus. The Safer Internet Project is like my main thing that I do at the moment. So, yeah. Back to the questions. Nearly finished. That was one I just read. All entry-level cybersecurity analyst jobs in SOC. What? Are all entry-level cybersecurity analyst jobs in a SOC, or are there other options to get an opportunity? There is other options, but sometimes they brand it as a different thing. So sometimes they'll say you should be doing firewall management. Now, normally that's not a SOC analyst. That's more of a network security engineer role. But depending on the size of the company and what they brand as cybersecurity is what you're going to be doing. So it really depends on the size of the company, where it's located somewhere in the world, and like what technologies they're using. So it's pretty interesting to see those points first before seeing what the job offers. But not all cybersecurity entry level jobs anyway are in a SOC. Not all of them. Johnny Vargas says, thanks, brother. I'll tune in. It's literally the easiest digital nomad visa in Southeast Asia. I'm definitely checking it out straight after this. Citizen Zero says, are you familiar with active? I can't read. It's so far away. Are you familiar with active inference AI and its applications for IoT monitoring through things like Spatial Web and Shodan? I'm very familiar with Shodan. I usually, so I would, as far as what the customer cares about, I would check